Design, where I share tips and hacks to help you design your life and your home your way. It's your girl, Denise Joy. I am an interior designer, a space curator. I'm a 26-year college professor, and I'm the founder of Learning to Live Abroad, where I share my step-by-step progress to retire and move abroad, along with tips and information to help women who aspire to retire and achieve their move abroad dreams. Welcome back to the episode. I always appreciate those of you who join me live for my podcast episodes. It makes it extra special. And as well, those of you who watch the replays and you leave your comments and your questions, I really appreciate that so much more than you can know. On today's episode, we are talking about what's next after you declutter and organize. Actually, declutter, downsize, and organize. This episode is inspired by a series, an episode from the series I did for the first part of the launch of this particular podcast season. And that series was really centered around decluttering, downsizing, and organizing. And today's episode actually fits perfectly in my next series, where I'm focusing on helping you design your home, rooms in your home, your space, both interior and exterior, to fit your lifestyle, how you want to live, to have a touch of your personality, your own personal zhuzh, right? Zhuzh it up. That's a made-up word, zhuzh it up. But I use it often. So this episode is going to really help you to achieve those goals of really upgrading your space and revamping your space. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. If you're new to my channel and you're new to the podcast, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get those announcements and you know when any of my amazing and helpful videos are dropping. The podcast drops every Monday and Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Hey, welcome to the live. I appreciate you joining me live. I really appreciate that. Always let me know what state or what country are you joining me from, questions you have, and any comments. I build community here with this podcast. We help each other. I guess you could say I'm the ringleader, right? And I'm happy to do that. But everyone who chimes in, who joins in, we help each other to achieve our goals here on this podcast and on my channel, Homestyle and Design. Now, let's dive into today's topic, which is what's next after you declutter and organize. Jokingly, when I was writing out this title, I thought to myself, well, heck, everybody's going to say, girl, what's next is a glass of wine, Netflix, and chill. That's what's next. And I don't blame you, right? I totally get it. But I'm going to encourage you to go and look at, if you have not seen it yet, episode number 7 of the podcast, which is about spring cleaning, organizing for the seasons. And as part of that episode, I stressed that you're going to, when you're going through the process of decluttering, downsizing, and organizing, hey everybody, welcome live. Let me know where you're watching from. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you joining me live. You're going to discover that there's probably more than a handful of things that you discover that you really need to do, which are what I call future projects. All right. It's very rare that anyone simply declutters their home in the spring season and doesn't realize like there's things that need to be fixed. There's things that they don't care for anymore. There's a paint color or a vibe in a space that they just aren't satisfied with anymore. And so I believe that the spring cleaning is the launch for your future projects that you would do before the summer hits, because I believe in having fun in the summer. I believe in having fun all the time, quite honestly. However, I want you to not neglect the next step. What's next? Those are those future projects. So, we all need that support in decluttering because it can seem so overwhelming. I have a whole video of me confessing and revealing my absolutely overly cluttered, crazily not organized outdoor shed, and how I turned it from a total disaster to a miraculous, well organized space so that I could enjoy my outdoors, particularly my gardening. That video is the Afro Boho Tiny Shed. So if you want to check out me going through my own process, make sure you watch that particular video. But like most of you watching, I'm feeling overwhelmed and feeling like, oh, I'm just going to let procrastination be my best friend because I want to avoid this, right? But in that video, again, for spring cleaning, you're going to discover things that need to be fixed in your future projects. And I want you to take a moment and go through your home, even if it's mentally, and you're going to think about short-term and long-term projects, particularly once you finish the decluttering, downsizing, and organizing process. So short-term are those things something that will take a weekend or shorter to complete. It might even take an hour. You know, I think we all do this. We think of something that needs to be done and we think it's going to take like 8 hours. And then you push yourself to start it and literally it takes you like 45 minutes, right? I cannot be alone in this. Let me know if this is you too, right? You're like, girl, that's me. That's me. You call it by name, Denise. And then we have our long-term projects. That's something that will take a week or longer for you to complete, or you're going to hire someone. You're going to use one of those trusty services like Thumbtack or TaskRabbit, or there are others where you're going to actually hire someone to do the thing that you've discovered that needs to be done as a result of you doing declutter, downsize, and organize. Again, I cannot stress it enough. Once you declutter, downsize, and organize, showing love to your home, to your space, you're not finished. I don't know of anyone, not unless you just moved into your spot. And even then, you know, you're doing an inventory. You're doing a truth assessment. You're doing a vibe check-in. Do I still love this space? Do I still love how this room is set up? Is the layout of this furniture supporting me with the kind of energy that I need to be in a sanctuary center space so I can go back out there in the world and do my thing, right? So you're doing an inventory, you're doing an assessment. After you do your declutter, your downsizing, your organize, you're stepping back for like a objective view of your environment in your home. And hey, thank you for joining me live. Welcome everybody. Let me know where you are watching from. I'd appreciate it. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. So let's jump in. We're going to discuss potential fixes and aesthetic or beautification aspects in your home. This might fall into areas like maintenance, general maintenance. You don't want to neglect maintenance. Trust me, y'all. If you own your home in particular, if you're not renting, if you own your home, you want to stay on top of the maintenance, okay? And that includes just sort of maintenance kinds of painting, but we're going to get to that. Let's see, I want to make sure I'm leaving anything out. So we're going to look at these areas in your home. We're going to look at the bathroom, the living, family room / den. Those kind of fall into a bit of a collective these days. Kitchens, bedrooms, basement areas, dining room, and outdoors. So I'm going to be sharing things that you might put on your inventory list as you step back and you begin to write down what you notice. This is really about being true to yourself, allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to have better, to change your mind, to say, I used to like this, I used to prefer this, and I no longer prefer this. I'm going to do this. Hey, Catherine, what's up? Oh, come on. Yes, you are putting in that work. Yes. Right. Getting rid of everything that doesn't serve you anymore. I totally feel you. Look, we were on the same page because I made my final thrift store drop off yesterday. Okay. And I arranged to give a rug that I had used in staging. I hadn't really used the rug for any kind of living situation, but I had used this rug for staging, and I've had it for almost 3 years. And I said, Denise, you're not going to really use this rug anymore. So I reached out to my niece. She was so happy to take it. And remember, I always say, give a person who you want to give something to or give them the option to say, no, thank you. right? Don't feel like, okay, I'm giving them something that's awesome. You might think it's awesome, but they just might not be ready for it or simply don't desire to have it. So I feel you, Catherine. Shout out. I'm giving you a little hand clap of motivation and celebration right here. That is such an accomplishment to continue on your declutter, downsize, and organizing journey. We often think that's going to take forever as well. But again, once you get started and you get that momentum and that motivation starts pushing you, you're going to fly through it, right? You're going to chip away until it's done. But then we got to get to, well, what's next? So here we are today in this episode, getting you ready, giving you ideas, giving you inspiration, shifting the way you think, right? About what you deserve. You deserve a space that is filled with things you love and that gives you the vibe, the aesthetic, the energy to sustain you, right? It's like a spiritual support. I think of my space that way. And that's what I think about when I'm supporting my clients, right? And spiritual is broad, however you think about that. Hey, absolutely, Catherine. We are all in this together, all right? So, both short and long-term fixes and aesthetic upgrades require planning and a strategy. Planning and a strategy are not bad words. I always say this, but it bears repeating. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? If you don't at least get like a little piece of paper, a note card, scratch out some instructions to yourself so that you stay on track and stay on target, trust me, that big vision you have is going to slip out of your hands like water. It's going to feel like jello just dripping out of your hand. Like, oh, I started out strong and then I petered out. Couldn't do it. Here's why you must create a plan for what's next after you declutter and organize. Your plan will help you clarify what you actually need to do. I don't know if any of y'all are like me in this regard, but I can start something and I'll get another idea and I'm off. I might have a little bit of ADHD. I'll often go and do two other things. And then I'll go, ooh, I was supposed to be, and then I'll manage to get back on track and I'll circle back. But when I have a plan, I know how to stay on track. A plan will help you feel ready. A plan will help you feel ready, and a plan will empower you. And a plan is instructions that you're writing from yourself, to yourself, for yourself. That's a gesture of love. That's a gesture of love and care that you are sending from yourself to yourself. That's so empowering. That's so powerful. A plan will help you see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? As we talked about with decluttering, it can seem like, girl, when is this going to be over? Matter of fact, I was speaking to a client the other day, and she kept focusing on, how did I get all this stuff? I said, it doesn't really matter at this point because you're in the middle of the plan to remove the stuff. So let's keep our focused attention on that which is in front of us, which is chip away at, follow the principles of declutter, use the rules of editing. All of that is described in my earlier episodes in the Declutter, Organize, and Downsize series. Focus. A plan will help you shift your mindset. Yes, you too. You force yourself to finish one thing at a time. Yes. Because when I hop around too, I start to feel like, okay, I'm never going to get done. That's because I didn't stay focused on the one task that I actually was supposed to do. I've gotten way better at it. But you know what has helped me are my short little plans list, right? A plan doesn't need to be some grand thing. You don't have to type it up in Microsoft Word. Just get a pen or a pencil, a note card or a piece of paper, and write out to yourself. Even say, I'm going to spend 2 hours on this, or I'm going to do 1 hour here. And that's a tip that works for me. That might work for you too. And Catherine, I appreciate you for saying that that helps you as well. You said live in peace and peace. Live in peace, not pieces. Okay, yes, absolutely. A plan will also let you know how much things will cost. Okay, remember we're going to focus on short-term and long-term projects. Some of these will have no cost, right? Other than the cost of your own time. Some will have a cost because you're going to be focusing on projects. Plans also give you boundaries. You'll set that timeline, as I mentioned earlier, so you can achieve your goals. Now, everything I'm going to suggest to you all in this episode is guided by my principles of custom on a budget. Because I believe that you can get the great wow factor. You can get a terrific space and you do not have to break the bank to achieve it. Now, that means that you're going to think about using things like DIY everybody watching this episode, you've got a DIY thumb. You've got like the green thumb. You got the DIY thumb. It just depends on which things you're good at and which things you need to hire out. You're going to also think about, how can I reuse things in my home, repurpose things, use something that was for one purpose and change it to a new purpose or a new space, and then you'll purchase sparingly, right? All right, let's look at our first space, the bathroom. Now, I've divided these into potential short-term and long-term projects. Short-term, remember, short-term is what you can achieve in a weekend or less, like one day, a couple of hours, but no longer than a weekend. Long-term are those types of things that are going to be a full week or longer. So in your bathroom, think about painting your ceiling. We rarely look up. Ceilings over time collect dust. They just collect oil. If you don't have excellent ventilation in the bathroom, condensation happens in there. Even if you do have great ventilation in a bathroom, over time condensation, and it leaves those little residue up there. So think about painting your ceiling. Ceilings, you can get that done in an hour or two. Remember to tape out, use the blue or green painter's tape to tape out the walls below the ceiling, so it makes the job go faster. You can use a roller and a regular trim brush and an extended arm if you don't have a ladder, but you usually will need at least one of those utility ladders. Boom, knock that out. It will, and you want to just use white ceiling paint. Really, you don't even have to go custom. If you want to, you can choose a custom color. You can choose satin or something like that. Come on, yeah. Oh, girl after my own heart. I am considering painting the ceiling in one of my rooms a rich color. I have plans to, on my future projects list, out of me doing all of my declutter, I have 4 main things on there, and one is to paint the ceiling in my kitchen and paint the ceiling in my bathroom. I have high ceilings, pretty high ceilings, almost 9 feet in the home that I'm living in. I live in a 1925 bungalow, and it's 100 years this year. It's his birthday. So that's so fun, Catherine, to paint something like a ceiling in a disruptive color. But paint your ceiling. The second thing for short term for the bathroom, paint the trim of your doors and windows. If you have standard white trim, freshen it up. Make sure you use eggshell or something, what's the other, a semi-gloss or eggshell, something that's going to be very durable for high contact areas. And you could also paint your trim a color. Sometimes people use black or dark gray or smoky, but you can have fun. But really, paint those trims, baseboards, those things you could do in a weekend. Long-term project in the bathroom, full redesign facelift. That means you're painting the walls, you're redoing the ceiling, you are, what else did I have on here? Replacing the shower tile, perhaps. That would be more in the remodel space, but that would take you a week or longer to complete. Matter of fact, around this, I repainted my bathroom. I didn't paint over the stencil part of the bathroom, but I repainted the walls, and I used a phenomenal paint product from Behr called Alkyd, Alkyd. And when you finish that, it's an enamel finish. Oh, looks like I ordered them out of the factory. I painted my bathroom cabinet. I'd had it for 7 years. It took some wear and tear. You know, it's a small footprint size cabinet, and it was actually quite expensive because of the size I needed to put it in. But anyway, it just totally I did a redesign facelift already. The living room. Let's move on to our living room, family room, den. Short term, deep clean your rugs. If you have area rugs, deep clean them. We tend to neglect our rugs. We tend to just, give them a vacuum once a week, maybe, something like that. But, we're walking over them. If you don't have a no shoes home, you're walking debris and everything into the home. If you have pets, that adds on to the types of matter that can get into rugs. So that's a short-term project that you can complete in a weekend or less. Deep clean your rugs and replace your rugs. If you have carpet, same thing. Deep clean your carpet out. You can do that in a weekend. That's a short-term project. Long-term, paint the entire room, including the ceiling and baseboards. I consider this to be part of home maintenance, particularly if you own your home. That's just maintenance. You know, you need to have a schedule of either every 2 years or maybe every 3 years, you're going to paint your baseboards, you're going to paint your trim. So this sort of coming out of your spring cleaning, you are saying, I am so committed to maintaining the upkeep of my home. Let's say you do end up wanting to sell your home, then you're not looking around faced with every single surface needs the same kind of attention. All right, let's move on to our kitchen. Short term, deep clean the kitchen. We all do, I'm sure, our everyday, washing our dishes, wiping down the counters and, maybe even the tile. But deep cleaning the kitchen is where you take everything out of the cabinets. You scrub everything down. You just make sure that you have gotten into the cracks, the crevices. You move your stove, you move your refrigerator, and you literally deep clean every part of that kitchen. You show it all that love because I love to cook. I also love to clean. I enjoy cleaning. I won't say I love it. I enjoy cleaning. I find cleaning to be where I get a lot of brainstorms. I do a lot of thinking while I'm cleaning. I get a lot of great ideas. So that's short term. Short term, paint the ceiling, clean your light fixture. If you have a light fixture that hangs down, usually like, gnats and things, just moths might get into that light, take it down, clean it out, scrub it up, and then clean your cabinets. Those are all short term. Long term, remember, a weekend or a week or longer. If your cabinets are painted cabinets, repaint them. And again, I recommend Behr's Alkyd paint. It's an enamel. Highly, once it cures, it is so hard. You can scrub it. It's factory finished, basically. You do want to follow the instructions on the paint can. And I did a light sand, very light sand, to make sure that the paint would have good adhesion. And then you're going to let it cure well over time. If the cabinets are in rough shape, paint them in the first place, meaning if your cabinets were not painted. Remember, we're using custom on a budget principles here. You want to get that wow factor. You want to get the kind of space you absolutely deserve. You don't need to, particularly in today's current economy, you don't want to break the bank to do it. Long term, also include in there, replace the light fixture. And if you can, replace the flooring if you can. That's long term for the kitchen. All right, let's move to the basement. If you own a home, I do. I have an unfinished basement, and mostly I'm doing more like maintenance types of things in my basement. Although the basement is, it's a place where you can hang out. You can actually do things down here. So for your short term, actually, let me move to the finished basement. For a short-term project in a finished basement, you could replace your flooring in a weekend. I had a client who they had a family room in their basement, and the flooring, they had some really outdated vinyl tile. And so I helped them select a plank luxury vinyl tile, and she and her husband did the entire floor themselves in one weekend. They made sure they had the right products, read the instructions of how the install should go. Don't think, oh, I got this. And it looks phenomenal. It's been about 4 years and it still looks amazing. Again, this is something you can do in a weekend, or again, you can hire someone. Remember, Thumbtack or TaskRabbit. Those are places where you can hire out, and it's a relatively safe way to hire somebody to do something in your home. Short term, save for a more comfortable sofa. Your big ticket items, the things that you're going to get a lot of use out of, like your flooring, something that you sit on, you should spend a little bit more on those things. That's my strongest and highest recommendation. If you've picked out a sofa, I'm trying to think, Haverty's, I'm trying to think of some places where you might look, and it's on the pricier side, which is not bad, because remember, you're likely going to be sitting on that sofa for 10 or more years. Yeah, so the cost per use is really going to be quite low, but you might need to save for that item. So that's a short-term thing you can start saving. If your sofa has great bones and you're just like, oh, the pile has worn down, get it reupholstered. If you already own a really high quality with a wooden frame, it's not glued together, it's a really good piece of furniture, get it reupholstered. you're not going to regret the cost. Remember, you're getting it reupholstered. You're basically getting a new sofa, and you're going to sit on it for 10 or more years. Again, the cost of that reupholstery, the cost per use, is going to be pennies. All right. I hope these ideas are inspiring for you all. I hope so. Let me know. Let me know in the comments which of these tips for these rooms are for you. Now let's go to long term. An unfinished basement, finish the basement. If that's a big goal of yours or a plan, go ahead and create your design plan so that you can get your basement finished out. More usable space. You might even, if you have the possibility in the area you live in, you might even be able to turn part of a basement into a small rental unit. Think of other ways. Hey, Diane, I appreciate you for joining me live. Another faithful subscriber. I appreciate you all. It really makes my heart sing. So your basement, short and long term things that you can look at. Now, remember, we are talking about what's next after you declutter and organize. And I have never had a client who, once we finished declutter, downsize, and organize process, they didn't realize, oh, there's some longer term or future projects that I want to do or need to be done. Okay. Bedrooms. Let's look at your bedroom. Short term, change your curtains. Change out your bed linens, your setup there. Clean your area rugs or carpet. Those are short term. Weekend or less, you can do this. Long term, repair anything that needs to be repaired. If you have walls that have dents, dings, whatever, doors, repair everything. Get it in ship shape. Replace a ceiling fan. If you have a ceiling fan or a light fixture in your bedroom, think about having that replaced. If you have wood floors, refinish them. If you don't refinish them, then at least get some wood replenisher to get them up to a nice shine and a nice finish. If you don't have wall decor or art, for some reason I have found this to be common in folks' bedrooms. They don't extend wall decor or art into the bedroom like they might in like a living room. Add more ambiance in your bedroom. And if you have bare floors, get some area rugs to keep your feet cozy and comfortable. Or if you have carpet, you could do rug on rug. People are sometimes nervous, like, oh, I didn't know I could put a rug on top of a carpet. Absolutely. You just want to make sure that you use the appropriate kind of carpet tape so that you can make sure that the area rug doesn't cause a slip issue. You don't want to have an accident. All right, our next room is the dining room, everybody. Short term, paint the room. And again, I always consider painting part of the maintenance of your home. Okay, if you are renting an apartment, you want to make sure that you have permission or you follow the process from either your landlord or the rental company, that you might have a fee that you have to pay. Here's a fun fact. Before I started buying my first home, I'm on my third home now. Every apartment I lived in, I painted literally almost every surface in the apartment. Now, I did what I just suggested y'all do. I checked my lease, and then I also went and checked. Oh, of course not. Listen, you know my philosophy, do you, boo? With a little bit of style, a splash of style, and a little bit of flair. Do you, boo? Do what works for you, right? You don't have to answer to anybody because you live in your home. If it's cooler, listen, and quieter, seems like the problem is solved. As far as I'm concerned, if your issue was you were not having enough peace and quiet while you were resting, whether it was resting or sleeping, and you solved that problem by moving it to quote a non-traditional room, I also believe in disruption in the home. So absolutely, I don't think that's weird at all. So as I was saying, I painted every surface. And my last apartment that I was moving out of before I bought my first home, it happened so fast when I purchased the home, I didn't have time to repaint the surface. So I had to pay, I think it was $450 a paint fee. I gladly paid that fee because while I was living in that apartment, everyone said that was the most beautiful because of how I had painted the rooms, the surfaces, everything. And I got to live in an environment I loved, even though it was an apartment. So that's something you can consider if you are in an apartment. So your dining room, paint the room, swap art and wall decor from other parts of your home. That's a tip that I share in, I think that's episode 12 about how to decorate with wall art. Swap art and wall decor so you can get a different vibe in your dining room space. Long term, replace outdated furnishings that are not your style anymore. These are things typically we're saving for. We plan for this type of thing. Consider having a consultation with a designer so you can get an action plan and that you can just follow that plan over time to really make your dining room live and make it the kind of space that you're really going to enjoy having dinner parties in, whether it's a party of one for yourself or your family, or having moments where you're doing card parties and have friends over and everything. I have my dining room set up so that I can move things around and even have a little dancing in there, definitely have a card party and things like that. All right, our last space is an outdoor space. Again, thank you all for joining me live, and I appreciate those of you who are watching the replay. Let me know where you're watching from, and if you have share your own ideas. What are you doing after you declutter, downsize, and organize? For those of you who just joined live, I jokingly said at the beginning, most people are probably thinking, girl, I'm gonna have a glass of wine and Netflix and chill after all that declutter. But invariably, when we declutter, downsize, and organize, you step back, you do a little inventory and assessment, and you realize there's some things that I'm not pleased with. There's some stuff that I would like to change. I deserve to shift things around. I deserve to say I'm upgrading for me because I want something different. And that means you're going to have both short-term and long-term future projects as an outgrowth of doing declutter, downsize, and organize. All right, our outdoor space is our final space. So the outdoor short-term, clean everything. Similar to when I said deep clean the kitchen, that's a short-term project. Outdoors, clean everything. Power wash, patio areas. Here's a funny story. I had a neighbor. They don't live on the block anymore, but very kind, supportive neighbor. And one day I was out front sweeping my driveway. I have a very long driveway. In fact, the home, when I purchased it, it had no cement driveway. It was like gravel. And anyway, for those of you who've been watching me for a while, I redesigned the exterior and the interior of my entire home. So anyway, I was sweeping the driveway, and he comes over and says, "Oh, looks like you need a power wash." And I'm like, "Oh, I hadn't even considered that." He said, "Oh yeah, you got this pretty concrete here, so da da da." I said, "Okay." He told me how much it would cost, so he does it. It looks so beautiful. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like wow." So some months had gone by, and I was at my favorite place, Home Depot. You have a screen porch. You call it, yes, that's so sweet. I also name rooms too. I love that, the lady porch. You just gotta have fun with your spaces, y'all. Catherine, you said you have a screen porch. You call it the lady porch. It looks like a room. Come through. Yes, that's the best. Oh, that's the best. So I was at the Home Depot, and I happened to be in the aisle where the power washers were. And I just walked over to look at them, and I realized that the cost that I had paid the gentleman to do the power washing, by then he had done it twice. I said, I could have bought this power washer right here. So y'all know what went home in my car with me was the power washer. Oh, yes. That workout room in the basement, it is the truth. It really is. It's one of the best things that I ever did in my home, because when I first moved here, I was just working out in the basement because it was a great place. It was cool in the summer. And I looked around one day and I said, girl, this is just looking like you just don't care, And that day I got my plan together, and I was like, I'm going to do this in a weekend. It became a weekend project. I achieved everything that I did in one weekend. Well, I had to wait because I ordered a mat and everything, but thank you, Catherine. I appreciate you for sharing that feedback. So in my car, I went home with a power washer. That's been 3 years ago. And now outdoors, thank you, little Mac. Yes, I love it. Y'all make a girl feel good about my little wild ideas that I get. But again, creating spaces you absolutely love is so important to my philosophy, and I'm happy to teach that to everyone watching these podcast episodes and share that kind of information where you get to design your space to be reflect your way of thinking, your personality, your lifestyle. So clean everything. That's a short-term goal. Power wash patio areas, concrete, clear your flower beds in the spring, get ready for a lush, abundant nature experience. If you're not into that, then just hire somebody to do it, like I did originally. But yet, you want to pay attention to your outdoor space. We about to be outside again, as you say, here on the East Coast, because the weather is turning, and I love to be outside. Matter of fact, Monday I got all my early gardening done. So I got my lettuces, my radishes, my turnip greens, my mustard greens, seeds planted. What else did I plant? Gosh, I planted really a ton of things. I did flowers, so I did some chamomile, marigolds, bunch of stuff. So plan to have a good time outside, but that means you got to put a little effort in on the front end. Now here's some long-term suggestions. Paint your exterior trim of the house. Now, this is something I would absolutely say hire somebody to do this. Not unless you really have this forte, but hire someone, paint the exterior of the house. I had this house painted in 2019. Yes, 2019, the entire house and the trim, everything. But now it's time for the porch, because my porch area was wood, and the side storage lattice. I'm going to repaint that using the same color because it's just worn over time. Now we're getting ready to be in year 6. Now this is also part of maintenance, keeping everything fresh and up to par. You can also clean your fencing, your deck, and replace any worn out boards. That process tends to be longer than a week. If you're doing it yourself, just take your time, plan for 2 weekends or 2 weeks. You'll get it done. You'll get it done. You can do it. You can do it, you guys. I really appreciate you guys joining me. Of course, we have to close out every episode with an affirmation. Today's affirmation: I demonstrate how I love my home as I commit to fixing, updating, and improving my sanctuary, my home. I hope that these affirmations are valuable for you. I hope they give you a little buzz, give you a little piece of motivation, right? They center you in the space of reciprocating love to yourself, from yourself, by the choices you make in your environments, both outdoors and inside your home. I appreciate everyone who joined me live for this episode of Design Love Podcast, Let's Talk Design, where I share tips and strategy to help you design your life and your home your way. Thank you so much for letting me know, Diane. This is a great, great video. I appreciate that feedback. So again, the episodes drop every Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you haven't joined me live and you're watching this replay, drop in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Give us some feedback. Remember, you're a part of a community here. I'll see you all in the very next episode. Have an awesome, awesome day.